Hey everybody, from the heart of Lovecraft country and the birthplace of American religious liberty, my name is Jonathan Jetty. You're watching Jonathan Jetty Art, and holy cow, was that some technical difficulties and madness, but we're going to get there. I'm going to talk about art in a second, but I've got to start by showing this. So, little Miss E, my daughter, just brought this home from school and gave this to me. So I've got my crocheted Springball. How cool is that? And right now, he's living over here with the crocheted Nosfero she did, and of course, Thulu as well. Let me tell you something, my number one demographic, I love you guys, and if you don't fit in this demographic, that's okay. My number one demographic is crocheters. I know you guys think it's comic book fans, but it's not true. It's crocheters. So here's what happened when I was launching the stream. I gotta say hi to you channel members as well. So here's what happened. I've got two completely different sections. And one was the first version of Comics and Curios inside the studio, and another one was the second one. So I'm looking at it going, why is the old Springball trailer there? And then it got to the intro for Comics and Curios. I'm like, why is that there? So it played the old Springball trailer, and then when it got to the old intro, I realized what was going on, and I was like, no, no. Yes, oh, listen, people have been saying that like crazy. Woo! Thank Ganesh for Shanth. Indeed, and thank God for you, my friend. It's great to see you, A. Riley, isn't it? And yeah, so yeah, Springball is now hanging out on the desk in his crocheted form, as well as all those crazy trailers. But guys, let me say hi to my channel members here. I still haven't done the credits. I'm absolutely in one of those don't know whether to scratch my watch or wind my behind moments right now. But yes, indeed, Mark's Music Obsession is here. Channel member. We've got Past Master Dan in the house. Great to see you, brother. Let's see what else we've got here. We've got the, oh my gosh, the Ardent Paintbrush. You guys really got me learning how to read better. Leighton Gay is here. It's great to see you. The man has arrived. I would agree, but I'm talking about you, my friend. Thank you so much for being here. We've got the first, the alpha, the omega, Stephen Rockwood, and an artist in his own right. If you're not subscribed to his YouTube channel, go check it out. He does some really cool ink stuff, and him and I apparently are identical book twins because I feel like we've got a very similar taste in books, man. And that's always a fun thing. We've got Rock Kryn in the house, indeed. Oh, what do we got here for this thumbnail? Very cool. Oh, sorry, my eyes are like failing me. It's so small. I'm gonna have to. You're gonna have to run me through that. I recognize it, but I can't place it. Let me see here. Drummer on Fire is here. It's great to see you, Drummer on Fire. And Strayer82 is here. It is good to see you. Of course, Tammy is here. What's happening, chat fam? Hail Shanth, hail all indeed. Tammy is another one of our OG Glad to have you with us. Slammin' Brandon is here. Howdy. Absolutely great to see you here. Drummer on Fire, 555. What's up, Sean? And let's see. Hey, Dan. Everybody's saying hello, hello. Rachel Brinkley is here. What's up, Rachel Brinkley? How you doing? Approved by the Comicsgate Authority. You're darn right, especially now that you're here. What is up? We've got Basilisk. Am I pronouncing that right? Here. And I salute you, sir. Got to keep it parallel to the deck. And let me see here. Who else have I got? I've got Past Match. Good. All right, guys. So here's what I'm working on. So things have been absolutely crazy. First of all, I want to say I hope everybody had a wonderful Easter Sunday this past Sunday. Do I have trying to figure out if I've got something on my glasses or if it's just my eyes. You never know anymore at this point. But I hope everybody had a wonderful Easter. I have been working like crazy. And it's just been great working on Springball. It's been so cool, guys. This comic book is comic book superheroes, how I love them and how I hope you guys love them. The world is crazy. I'm bringing more stuff into it in terms of there gets to be a point when you're writing where the story sort of takes over and everything starts to make sense. And what started out as a project where I was going to remaster the first issue and maybe do some story tweaks and everything like that is probably turned into, it's turned into this thing I never would have expected in terms of the story, the breadth of it. And I have completely fallen in love with this character as he is now, his world. And I am so grateful to all of you guys who've taken this character to your hearts and backed the book and been supportive. The link is obviously in the description. But yeah, it is crazy. Let me see here. Is it Lena? Is that how I'm pronouncing it? Let me know if I'm pronouncing it wrong, by the way. Let me see here. Oh, he remastered it all right. Yeah, I got some drawing. Yeah, don't forget the like, peeps. So let me show you guys all of the crazy fun that we're having and all of the crazy layout stuff. So I wanted to show you guys some of the layouts I'm doing. All this stuff is going to be super rough, but I know you guys like to see the process of doing this stuff from time to time. He can't eat spring rolls, although that is a great cross-promotional thing, Rachel. You're 100% right. Spring rolls would be great. Oh, now I'm hungry. Hill Jonathan chat, that Springball is awesome. She's very talented. Yes, she is. She's my favorite little person in the world when it comes to that art she makes, that everything she does. She's just... I remember when your kids are little and you watch them grow up to be adults, you see the little sparks of things in them that turn into something, and it all makes sense when you look back at it, but it still blows my mind. Like, it still blows my mind. And that's the whole God thing that is a miracle, and that's what I love. Okay, good. Just making sure. You never know with me. But yeah, it's... I had said to her I'd love to get a Springball because I want to use it for something, and she was, of course, just whipped it up because in addition to all the other things she can do and talents she has, she's like amazing and creative with crocheting and art and everything else. So yeah, very, very cool. So let me show you guys some of the stuff I'm working on and some of the world stuff we're working on. Mary Boys, all stitched up by is it Carl Steven or is it it's Stefan? Carl Stefan, right? I gotta get hooked on phonics here, guys. Right there on Indiegogo, really amazing artist. Does a lot of hand-painted stuff, I think, too, as well. So let me show you guys what I've got cooking here. I've got a few things cooking, and I can talk about them. Where are we? I love that I have it labeled this one. All right. So this is a page that I'm working on right now. Let me set this so that I make sure it's for... Okay, good. It is set for Adobe Photoshop, so it's not going to be everywhere. So this is a page I'm working on right now. And the fun thing about this page is it's this character named Molly who you're going to meet. Yeah, his cartooning is awesome on Mary Boys. Timmy Mello is here. I must have just missed you by a second. It's great to see you. Welcome and happy Sunday, brother. OG in the house and another artist, man. We got a lot of you creative types around here. We're going to have to be careful. We're going to have to be careful about this stuff. So I've been putting together the layouts and putting together, the different things. And so this right here is this moment where the character of Molly is essentially telling the backstory of what is going on in this world and what Springball isn't aware of. And it's a scene that I'm really excited about because when I put that stuff together, it sort of tipped the story in an interesting thing. May take this outside of just the phone instead of the big screen. Oh, yeah, you're right. This weather is... Oh, sorry. May take this outside on just the phone of the big screen, or with the big screen. This weather outside. Oh, yeah, the weather is actually really beautiful here, too, by the way. So, yeah, good point. What's up, Glass Machine? How are you doing? So, yeah, so when I'm checking this stuff out, and back at you, brother. When I'm doing this stuff and I'm working on it, I was thinking about how am I going to create this world and what are the things that I want to do with the panel borders. So this is what my rough sketch-in phase looks like. You can see that I'm still keeping everything very loose, and I'm trying to figure out, you know, what I want to do, but it starts with the painting phase and then the lines come in. What's up, Tank Ferret Presents? How are you doing? Good afternoon to all you magnificent bastards and bastards. Absolutely right, and I salute you, sir, Tank Ferret. Parallel to the deck. That's what it is. Yeah, Jericho was going over that with me when he was critiquing the salutes in the movie Under Siege, which had me in stitches. Springball gonna learn. Yes, Springball, guys, the stuff that happens in this book is so cool and creepy and playful, and it's really what superhero comics can be. And I'm gonna tell you this. This is probably... I think this comic book is going to hit people like a ton of bricks. People outside of our space, too. Not just in Comicsgate. I think people are going to see this when this comes out and go, what the heck is this? This is insane. This is cool. How did we not know about this? And they didn't know about this because they weren't here. They didn't back the book, and they weren't part of what we were doing here. But we've been cooking up some really cool stuff. I know Shane just shipped Anatomic, which I have, which is great. Anthony Gonzalez-Clark's artwork on that is fantastic. I know the Black Riding Hood 2 campaign is closed, and John is... The pages I've seen and the interior stuff I've seen on that is sick. All of the stuff Ethan's doing right now with CYBERFROG is insane. When I see those originals and he shows behind-the-scenes stuff, I'm always just amazed. But I mean, what else is there? There's so much stuff happening, so pump those links in the chat. But when I see that kind of stuff... It just blows my mind. So I'll give you a little look at what my process is here in terms of layers and what I'm doing. So for this sequence right here, one of the things I wanted to make sure I did was I wanted to cite where the story is going to go before you know, give you a sense of the scope. Because I'm looking at this kind of from the standpoint of what if this is somebody's, and this is going to be somebody's first, you know, look into this world and what this world is about, and just watch the joy of painting. I wish I could say. Got to figure out if I'm going to work on my laptop. Hang on a second here. Let me just tighten something up here if I can find it. Where is it? Well, I thought it was here. Oh wait, is that it? Or did I get that one fixed? All right. Well, it might be a little bit janky. I apologize. Ethan's work on Rainbow the Brood as well, 100%. I completely forgot about that, Rachel. Yeah, that stuff is sick too, man. It's, you know what the thing was with Ethan, one of Ethan's latest projects that I really got a look at, and I was like, in terms of, because I did a trailer for it, which was Dark Harvest. So Ethan reached out to me about a trailer for Dark Harvest, and I, as a sort of a side note of that, I got a chance to see an extremely... I gotta figure out something to do with this camera here, because this is annoying. Hang on a second. I clearly had not thought this through. What can I do to make this better for you guys? Hold on a second. Let me see what I got here. Let me try to put on my thinking cap. I may need to get a tripod at some point for that. So we're just going to wing it for now, but see if I can get this a little bit more balanced on here. There we go. So one of the things for me when I saw that stuff up close is it was such a haunting story with haunting artwork. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And when I was putting that trailer together, what was so great about it was there were things that were that I thought were spoilers that I was trying to hide, and then there were things that weren't, or I thought were spoilers that weren't, and things that were that I didn't know were. And Ethan goes, "You got to take that shot out, because that's giving away a reveal." And I was like, oh, okay, all right. And yeah, as we were putting that trailer together and then finding the audio isolated track for that was so fun. But when you see his stuff, you start to realize that everybody, Dan Lawless, everybody who's working, Graham did a panel in Shanu 77 that is sick of this eyeball. And you just realize like how crazy everybody is putting, the time and effort and work to make something cool here. And that's what it is for me about Springball. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm in Comicsgate doing the things I'm doing. And I should say that I would not be doing the stuff I'm doing. My life took a major change because of a lot of factors, but what made me return to comic books was Comicsgate. What made me return to Springball were my buddy Rocky, who knew me in college and I've known for 30 years, showing it on stream, and you guys reacting to it. And then, of course, John and Dan Lawless was there too, and he reacted to it as well. I always got to remember my boy Dan. And then John was like, do something with this. You know what I mean? Where is that Rocky? How come he doesn't crash your streams to check on the state of your Oh my God, I can tell you the answer to that. I'm not even going to pan the camera over. You guys are seeing enough. It is diabolical. I'm glad that most of the writers and artists of CG are great. Agreed. Yeah, I am too. And creative as well. They come up with things that are just astounding to me. So when you're looking at this blob of paint, this is inspired by probably my most listened to in terms of audiobook and my favorite H.P. Lovecraft story, which is the Dunwich Horror. The Dunwich Horror is just one of those stories that I don't know why, but it hit me. It sort of felt, what's up, the serious man? How are you doing, MODOK? Yeah, I mean, practically, you're right. Does got a little bit of MODOK going on there. And how are you doing on this fine Sunday? And as I was looking at it, and as I was reading that book, it reminded me of home, growing up in Tennessee, and all the mountains and hills and everything that we've got there. And as I was looking at it, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is a kind of horror of, being out in the middle of nowhere. And I'm living in the middle of nowhere, so I was thinking this is cool. And so this is a little nod to that. Speaking of people we don't see around very much, there he is, Eric Weathers, letterer of Nosfero the Crypt Walker. Hail, Eric Weathers. What's up, my painting brother? I know you've been buried and in the middle of it, man, but it's good to see you. We got to catch up sometime, man. What the heck, fire? We've got John Smith. There's got to be a way to make this type bigger. We've got John Smith saying, hells yeah, I'm glad I caught this live. Listen, I'm glad you caught this live, man. Is that 7-Up? I like that, man. Oh, I like that. Unintelligent Designs here. What's up, Liam? How you doing? I'm also in the middle of nowhere. Lord knows, right? I've been there. Yeah, you're in like the grand, middle of nowhere. You're in like, the outback, as they say. You're with Max, Sam Keats Max. Nice to see you, Eric Weathers. Agreed. Like, gay. I feel like I haven't seen him in forever. Call me basic, but I still love the Call of Cthulhu the most. Yeah, the imagery it still evokes is fantastic. Yeah, and that's a part of this. Call of Cthulhu is a much more a part of Springball, just like Shadow over Innsmouth is. Hail, Eric Weathers, says Timmy Mello. Oh my gosh, the chat's jumping. Nick Clark Art. We need caps in here, guys. My dyslexia is a nightmare. Your video on pre-press setup has been very helpful to me this week. Many thanks. You love to hear it where crows fly backwards. That's right. Canada is mostly frozen wasteland. Weatherman spotting confirmed. Yeah, you absolutely can confirm it. And what's up, Leg Kick 1? Hello, Sean. Did you watch UFC last night? No, I did not. I missed the UFC. I missed the Tyson Fury fight. I mean, I hear it was a snoozer. I got to catch up on my fights. Was it good? Let me know, Leg Kick 1. I fell behind on my fights yesterday. And this weekend, I was really on top of everything previously. And then I just fell behind. All right, so now I've got that there. So now, let me go back here. And this is the stuff that I love about being able to paint when I'm working digitally. This is the stuff that I get a kick out of. No pun intended, Leg Kick 1. That was a perfect unintentional dad pun. But they tend to be everywhere these days. Let me see. Here's purple. What do I want to do? Because I want to do something a little bit creepier. Let's go with a red for now. Too red. Somewhere in... Skies do a weird thing with the red, so let me see if I can make this happen here. Nah, it's not going to work. So when I heard Dunwich Horror, my mind went to Middlewich Cuckoos. Yes, a.k.a. Village of the Damned. Well done. I like that, man. Okay, hold on a second. Just jump. Shanth. It was really good. Blades versus... Oh my gosh, really, man? Holy cow. Heavyweight fight was awesome. Whoa. Yeah, heavyweight fights are always a blast to watch because of how quickly things can change. We got a guy in... let me see if I can remember his name. Is it Moses Ituma? I'm probably pronouncing his name terribly. Right now in British boxing, he's a young kid and he is fast. So he's got long arms. He's fast. He knows how to throw combinations. He still can get hit. He's got decent head movement. Really curious to see where this guy goes. But yeah, there's really cool stuff happening in the heavyweight divisions right now, and I like to see it. Let me see. We've got Scribe Comics here. What's up, Scribe Comics? How are you doing, my friend? But he's saying hello, hello. Woo, hail. There you go. But he's getting their hellos on. His appointment. Tyson Fury Tally. Yes. Outboxed his opponent. Yes, exactly. Opponent. Yes, I hear you. Yeah. Totally outboxed him. Yeah. Pause the show. Be right back. That's right. I will take Ferret. Got a couple of Tennesseans. No kidding. Coming to stay at Michelle's place in 2 weeks to keep an eye on both our houses and her pup while we travel. They love it here. I bet they do, man. It's a good part of the country. Let's see. I can never pronounce this name. You got to spell it out for me phonetic. Is it Hockett or is it Hokit? Is really entertaining. He's a nut. Yeah. Well, as you know, it seems like that's what's drawn to the sport. You know what? On second thought, I just got to do this color dark because it'll make more sense that this seemingly gelatinous, translucent character, if I have a little bit of a red underpainting going on around it. So it's not really an underpainting as much as it's just a moment where I can kind of, block it in so I see how the panel's going to work. Which is, that's the thing about everything I'm doing right now is that it's a chance for me to really show you guys the process of how I put this stuff together, which is color, value, that whole thing first. Then I get a sense of the scene. And the sense is that you're going to get this sort of monolithic beast of a character that's going to be... where the heck did I put it? A monolithic beast of a character that's going to be... let's see, right? Let's grab a little bit of lightning. Monolithic beast of a character that's going to be illuminated by the lightning. If you know your Dunwich Horror and what the Dunwich Horror is, you're going to have this kind of lightning storm. And then in the foreground, you're going to have, this behemoth where you're going to have also... let's see if I can make this work. You're going to have... Why is everything selected? Don't need that. You're going to have this behemoth of a character. Let me turn off for a second. Let me turn off my camera here for a second. I just feel like it's too shaky. Hold on one second. Let me grab something. Be right back, guys. Do I have... Could have sworn I had a tripod in here somewhere.
There was one by the back door.
Oh, there was? I wonder if it's there. Let me check. Thank you, Mrs. Jetty. Oh, yeah. There we go. Uh-oh. Stuck in a drawer. There we go. Woo! If you hear a loud crash, it's just me. Now I just got to figure out if this will work. Woo! All right, guys, I am back. Hopefully the crashes were not too terrible. And then we'll see who we've got here. Where is this going to go? I'm totally going to kick this over, but it will be funny. It might be amusing for you guys. So, let's see. What is this camera got? Hang on a second. I'm going to turn off this camera. Let me say hi to everybody who's here first, because I just saw a bunch of people come in. What's up, StealthX5? How are you doing? It's great to see you. Rachel Brinkley goes, the lighting is in the back Won't the front of his face need to be darker? Which thing? Oh, I have yet begun to work on this. Oh, this is going to be fun, Rachel. Love it. What's up, Skeleton Core Comics channel member? What's up, brother? It's great to see you. And let me see. Did I miss anybody else? All right, so let me take a look at this situation and see what I've got here. Do I have that part of the... Oh, there it is. Hang on. Okay, let's see if this works. Let me turn this camera off so it doesn't break anybody's mind when I'm messing with it. There we go. Look at that. You can see my messy studio tucked. Oh man, I love it. You just made me laugh with that. Look up this Tuk Tuk song by this guy named gosh, what's his name? Denny Skip, I think is his name. That song cracks me up all the time, and he has become a household meme in our house. Let me see. Oh gosh, yeah. Billy and I love Billy, man. Billy's the best. Yeah, we're basically there. We're in that place. It's very Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood up in here. Hopefully this... Oh, I see what I'm doing wrong, which is many things. Okay, so I just take this. I should have thought about this setup a little bit more, but where's the fun in that? There we go. And this goes like this. All right, hang on a second. I'm almost here. He said, with a note of optimism. Yeah, if this doesn't work, it'll be really funny anyway, so let's see here. What is that? Huh. Okay. So, oh wait, I see what I'm doing wrong. A multitude of things. Okay, so now, if I put this here, rotate this, move this in more. Still, I'm probably going to create more problems than I needed to, but I don't care because that's what I specialize in. Oh, you guys are going to get like a crazy down shot of me. Let's try this. Let's see what happens. Whoa, no, we don't. Nobody needs that. Nobody needs that. There we are. I'm back. I'm back, baby. All right, so now I've got this over here, and now it's not going to move as much when I'm working. How's that look? Does that work for you guys? Hopefully you guys can see a little bit more of the studio. We're here. What's up, Darth? How are you doing? It is great to see you, man. Happy Sunday. It goes that way. It certainly does. So hopefully now, God willing and the creek don't rise, we'll be able to stabilize things a little bit here for the stream. All right. So, like a movie star. You know it's true, Scribe Comics. You know it's true. Oh my gosh, this thing is like kind of crooked. It's going to drive me nuts. Oh, what's up, Christopher Bouchard? How are you doing, brother? It's great to see you. Things are good on this fine Sunday. So here we go. Let's get into this. So here's what's happening right here with this character. Now that Rachel asked that great question, let me go here, or made that great comment, I should say. This is what's going to be happening in this scene here. It's going to be two very small figures standing in the foreground here. And this is going to be a absolutely terrifying, crazy Lovecraftian, monster from another dimension. And it's going to be, the way I like to draw these things now is to kind of take, it's a part, what I love of Todd McFarlane, and then part of what I love of Max Fleischer and his creatures and what he used to do. And so that's the thing that I'm kind of trying to build to with all of these things. So it's kind of like a squid, clawed, crazy, gigantic creature. And if you have not read The Dunwich Horror, I talk a lot about H.P. Lovecraft. I'm actually working in my copious amounts of free time to when I'm jogging to a stop after a long day's work. I am working on a documentary of Mary Shelley. I'm working on a documentary of the Salem Witch Trials. I'm working on a documentary of H.P. Lovecraft, because I think that there haven't been, I've seen some decent stuff, but there are either a lot of talking heads and telling you what H.P. Lovecraft was like, and there's not enough of what I want to see. Look at me kicking everything all over the place. There's not enough of what I want to see, which is I like to hear these people in their own words. I like to hear what H.P. Lovecraft was writing and saying at that time. And it's strange to me how little we hear from the authors who wrote tons of letters, wrote tons of different communications back and forth with other writers, their thoughts on things. What you hear is a few, excerpts from their story, and then you have a lot of talking heads going, I think what Lovecraft meant was, and I go, it's kind of it's in the text. Not everything is a metaphor, and that's what I want to see. So good to see you, Shadowhawk Talks. Guys, if you haven't hit the like yet, please do. So I want to get people, I'm not the kind of person who reads a wild amount of fiction, or I didn't used to. And mainly because audiobooks were way more cumbersome when I was growing up. You had to get a tape. You had to get 50 tapes. But now, with the wonder of, the technology we have and the ability to stream audiobooks while we work, I've just been able to get deeper into books that I already like and other books that are tangentially related to them. So one of the books that really was I read the paperback of, and it blew my mind and made me fall in love with H.P. Lovecraft, was the Thing on the Doorstep. Really great horror story. If you haven't read that, you're going to get to the end on it and go, no, I know, Gen X problems. See, I'm getting a beat down for being Gen X, but you know what I'm talking about. I love it, man. Holy cow. But yeah, everything was on tape, and then everything was on CD. I had a lot of stuff on CD, but I went to a Borders, if you remember those kids, these magical places called Borders, and I got a soft cover of The Thing on the Doorstep and Other Stories, and it blew my mind. Yeah, Lovecraft had a dog. I only ever heard about his cat. Yeah, you're absolutely right. There's a story to that, too. There's a story to that, which I know you guys probably heard me talk about this, but that's the way the story is told, right? But when he had that pet cat, he was 9 years old, I think. So technically, he was a little kid, and it's really gotten me to start thinking about what Whipple Phillips, his grandfather, and his mom were like with that going on. And I think maybe there's a big influence there that hasn't been covered enough, because you got to imagine a 9-year-old is not naming that pet by himself, and certainly not naming it that. He was 9. And the other funny thing about when I do research into Lovecraft is, and I can't believe nobody looks at this stuff. This is the thing that shocks me. Corey Landis, yeah. From your lips to God's ears. What does one do? It's like, I was thinking about this the other day. It's like, I was going into work one time and I was parking at this place downtown where I always park, and the guy who runs the lot is a guy named Frank, and I got to know him over time, and finally he felt comfortable asking me this, and he goes, so you're an artist, right? I said, yeah, I'm an artist. He goes, can I ask you a question? You could have knocked me over with a feather from this question. He goes, why didn't you become a doctor? And I'm like, I don't know, Frank, why didn't you become a doctor? It was like he thought that I would have some innate, skill to go to med school. And I was dying, man. It was crazy. Let's see. We've got Mike Wood here. Hey, Shalt, hope you're having a good weekend and you and your family are well. Very excited for your books and future projects. Take care. Thank you, Mike Wood. I appreciate that, man. And I cannot wait to get those things. I'm still waiting for the print proof from my printer. I'm going to ping them again on Monday because they've got the press running something right now, and I want to make sure that I get an actual printer proof, which is done on the machines for the book, so I can check the color for Nosfero. So yeah, I'm waiting on that, and then this is how insane a small panel on Springball is going to be. But I haven't even gotten to this face yet. So when you see stuff like this, I haven't even gotten to the line work on it yet, but that's what it's going to be. So you've got things like this. You've got, that I love. Oh my God, My Pleasure, man. Yeah, I think these things are important. I think people really I think people need some escapism now, and I think that's a big factor of what I'm doing with Springball that has me so jazzed. Is I've been going back and looking at things like David Michelini, however you pronounce it. I pronounce it Michelini, and his amazing Spider-Man run with Todd, and looking at just the way the characters work and the back and forth. A lot of you guys have said to me, yes, I totally think that's what it was. I totally think it was, but I was just thinking to myself, the world doesn't need me as a doctor. I think that could be dangerous for all of us, including myself. It's so funny. Yeah, that was a great Spider-Man run. The way he wrote their marriage, the way he wrote their life, like some of the stuff that was so great. Peter Parker and Mary Jane, that stuff was great. And as a kid, it had a huge influence on me. So as I was working on Springball, one of the things that I've been thinking a lot about with Steve Ditko and all of the great, and Stan Lee and that run, which is a huge influence on me. And then of course, pulp classics and Spawn and all of that kind of stuff as well. I started thinking that in the world of these characters, you always had more than one character going on. There were other heroes in the area that built out the lore and the mythos and all that kind of stuff. And so something that I just have a glimpse of in this book that's going to be really cool. Yeah, his Spider-Man run was great and the most heartfelt. Yeah, I miss characters like that. I miss comics like that. And it's been so cool because Springball is just this kind of character that people both don't make anymore, and that's never really been done like I'm doing a character. And I know people say that kind of thing all the time, but I can assure you that the original idea for Springball was not as interesting as what I'm doing now. It's just what happened. It was a cool idea. It was an interesting idea, but this is its own kettle of fish now. And you can see it in the layouts, you can see it in the story points, but there's going to be a new character in this world that's going to contribute some necessary exposition, but is also going to be a new hero character for Springball to work off of. And he's not going to overstay his welcome, but it definitely presents an opportunity for some backup stories in Springball that I'm really excited about. Things are slow at the moment. I've been feeling up to doing more streaming. Very cool. And I'm glad to hear that, by the way, Shadowhawk Talks. I know it's been a lot lately. Doing more streaming. I'm hoping to start doing short daily show to show items from the upcoming auction in late April, early May. Awesome, Shadowhawk Talks. Glad to hear it, man. Yes, indeed. Blessed Sunday to Past Master Dan from Darth Gutierrez. Springball is Shanth refined, there you go, like aged wine that drives you mad after a few sips. Yeah, that's really true for this story. So, the thing about Springball, and the thing about how he's going to work, is in his city. I spent a lot of time when I was going to school in Providence, right, which is H.P. Lovecraft's stomping ground. And the thing about older cities, really ancient cities, is that, cities that have been around for, a couple hundred years, is that they have all of these things that have happened, or these things that have been built and then forgotten. And one of them was a trolley line that went underneath College Hill, which is this big hill off to the side of Providence. And it had been abandoned for a very long time, and I actually, before it was sealed up, I had the chance to go in there and walk in that abandoned train line. And then when it did get sealed up, they still had one door entry hatch out in the middle of nowhere that was mostly flooded. And I was helping a friend with a student film, and I went in there. You're actually underneath a huge chunk of the city. And that became something where I'm like, what am I doing? I'm going to put this in the story, man. Yeah, indeed. Let me see here. And yeah, amen, indeed. Yeah, the Todd McFarlane Spider-Man Visionaries trade paperback were some of the first I ever bought. Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, it's missing a few of the issues, namely in the assassination plot that Todd didn't draw. Yes. Yeah. The page, I have a page, an original page from the last page of one of the assassination plot comics where Peter's on the phone overhearing what he thinks is Aunt May getting a medical diagnosis. So if you know that page from the book, it's the one that has Paladin on the cover and Spider-Man's kind of lurking over his shoulder. I have the last page of that book. But yeah, let me see here. I have a friend who's donating a one-of-a-kind painting. Oh, from 93. The artist is legendary. Oh, man, that's awesome. Let me see. I missed something up here, too. Oh, what sort of villains will Springball have? Okay. So Springball is going to have a big range of villains. And the way I would describe his... the scope of the villains that he's fighting and the scale of the villains he's fighting are much more like the villains in Hellboy, in a sense, which is that Hellboy can fight a giant behemoth monster, and like what you see on the cover of Fantastic Four #1 for that matter, or he can fight somebody who's more street level. So from the very, a street level criminal and thug, which he runs into in this story, who commits, evil but human evil crimes, to actual evil creatures that are the product of dark forces and dark cosmic forces. And all of that stuff, both the human and the inhuman, come together in Terminal Monstosity. And that's what makes doing Springball as fun as it is. It's a true roller coaster ride, and it's going to be a blast, man. Having so much fun on these layouts. Yeah, I want a rogues gallery, and I want a rogues gallery of side characters, because what I liked about that run, there were characters that complemented Spider-Man that he would occasionally team up with. And Springball, because when I was creating Springball, I was thinking, well, I don't really know this character as well yet, so I can't think about him in those terms. Now that I know that Springball is I always knew he wasn't a human being from the 2002 series, but now that I know that Springball is kind of more creepy in certain ways than people would think in terms of where his consciousness resides in that body, like how he's designed as a essentially as a crash test dummy for weapons testing is what his backstory is. It opened things up where he's much more of a rational pragmatist, because he's, in his mind, he's a product of science. That's what he understands. So putting him into this world where he is not some supernatural being is a real trip for his brain to absorb, because he's not really fully absorbing human beings yet. Like he understands them, but he's just very much a rationalist about things. So he can talk like a person. He's not robotic, or he doesn't have, he's not like Warlock from the New Mutants or anything like that. Oh my gosh, yeah, we did. Well, I may have him eating his spring roll. He can't eat, actually, but I may have someone eat a spring roll with him, and I think that'll work. So what weapons does Springball have? Really good question. I can answer it visually, which is perfect. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that question. Let me see here. Let me go to find this. And yeah, if you guys haven't hit the like, thank you. We got 80 people watching. Excellent. Let me see here, Springball. Let's see where the page is that really shows this stuff. See if we can crash this computer here. I just realized this computer is from 19... Oh, Lord. This computer is from 19... Not 19. Whoa. Now that was showing how old I am. That I would even call up that year. Whoo! It's only been 26 years, son. It's only been 26 years in this. What is going on with me? I need to get myself right. So here we go. Let's take a look at this. That was so sad and tragic on so many levels. Yeah, don't be a lazy radish. Hit the like button. Agreed. How much does Springball weigh? Excellent. Very good question. So Springball, I imagine Springball as being a little bit like Batman in terms of his weight. He weighs, because I did think about his weight a lot because of his materials. So I imagine he's about 6 feet tall, 210 pounds. He's not a giant, but he's bigger than maybe whatever your average height is, but not drastically so. And he weighs about 210 pounds. And the reason why that's important is because of his inertia. So I needed to understand what happens. If you throw a car at Springball, he can survive it, but he's going to get knocked about. He's not going to be able to hold his ground when you throw something at him. And that was kind of important for me to come up with. But here are his powers in a nutshell. Here's him using his Springball. Yeah, it won't be the absolute Batman. Don't you worry, Mark's Music Obsession. Which I know John's going to be reviewing soon. So yeah, let me see here. MALIN'S size. That's right. So here you go. So here's Springball, and that's his Springball, which is the best way to put it. So he's got this tether that comes out of his back, essentially, that's sort of like a tail. Like he's meant to kind of have an animated character quality to him. And but he's got this thing, comes out of basically his mid-back, like where his belt would be if he had a belt. And it's attached to him, and it's basically like a bungee cable. So he can kind of bungee jump, rappel, and do all this stuff with it. But also, yeah, he bounces on impact. 100% he bounces. Yeah. So that's the thing about Springball, right? So he doesn't need to breathe. He doesn't need to, he doesn't need to breathe. He never goes to sleep. He can't forget things. He bounces off of things. He can control his density a bit. So he doesn't have to bounce to certain levels. He can adjust his density. But the main thing is that the Springball he has is he throws it, and it's another set of eyes for him. He's got 3 sets of eyes. So he has 6 eyes. 2 on his chest, 2 right here on his face, and then 2 on the Springball. And so when he throws this, you know what I'm talking about then. Shadowhawk knows. When he throws this thing, what happens is he's able to change its density so that it becomes a suction cup. The ball collapses, hits any surface, suctions to it, and then he can swing on it essentially like Tarzan. But it's an elastic sort of swing, and then he can just push that button and pop the ball loose, and then he's free to go. So in addition to bouncing, he can change his trajectory, but he also can use it as an anchor. Because if he was fighting somebody and he wanted to make the fight go rounds, almost like the ropes in a boxing ring, he could anchor that tail to the ground, keep it at a consistent length, and again, it'd be a little bit like a paddle ball, which is something I thought about when I was designing him. That was one of the first images I had. If a villain grabbing his tail and just kind of beating him up like that, but he can actually stay in the fight by being anchored near where the center of the person is as he's fighting them, which I love that kind of idea. And then also the tail can work as a periscope, which is kind of cool. And then the other aspect of it that I think about in terms of the drama of it is that Springball has the ability, if he gets trapped or encased in something, to sort of vibrate his atoms so that he could shake loose of concrete or brick or things like that. But it's conceivable that you could put him in enough concrete, pour enough concrete on him, and drop him in the ocean to where he'd be there for a while. He wouldn't die per se, but you could throw him into space where he has nothing to go off of, and there's not a lot he can do. So he has vulnerabilities. When he fights in water, his bouncing is gone. His Springball tail doesn't work. And his strength, which is he has 10 times the strength of a normal man, but then he's 10 times the strength of a normal man underwater with high durability, but he's not really going to be doing too great underwater. And that's what kind of makes it interesting for me, is his limitation. So you've got that aspect of Springball. Then you've got, let me see here, we'll do another file find here. And yeah, we haven't had characters like this in forever, I feel, where you talk about their powers and you talk about their limitations. Like one of my favorite vulnerabilities of Springball is he can't forget things and he can't close his eyes. So imagine and he doesn't need sleep, so he never sleeps. Imagine if you could see everything, couldn't forget anything, and you never went to sleep. Well, that's kind of how my wife would probably describe me. But it's craziness. It's crazy to write with that aspect of the humanity for the character. Like he's still dealing with the things that we all deal with. So where is? I know I have this page somewhere. Oh yeah, there you go. There's a nice through the city bounce that I rather like that I'm still working on. But John, man, I tell you what, John Malin not only has been such a great champion of this book and have been so supportive, but John gave me the benefit of another set of eyes on it. And he looked over the book a couple of months ago and was like, it'd be cool if you moved this here. I want, you should try something like this here. And that kind of thing is such a gift, man. It's such a gift to have people to, old man pun incoming, bounce things off of. And so that's been something I've been working on. But there you get a sense of, when I was reworking this page, you get a sense of the scale of how he's able to travel. And this comes from Superman in many ways. Able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. There you have it. Because this is a love letter two superheroes. Yeah, he can't close his eyes or forget. Don't let Shane recommend any movies to him, says Art Ida. Yeah, and Shane, too, has been a big champion of the book. And Mandy as well, man. Mandy had me on for a bunch of streams. That's cool, and can't wait to get this. By the way, Mandy has got a book. Has that book launched yet? That's my favorite Stuntman Comics book at the moment, is Jack the Ripper. And I know he's going to be fighting monsters, so I'm excited about that. The coach has great instincts. He absolutely does, Leighton, 100%. Can he outdrink? Well, unfortunately, he can't because he doesn't have a mouth, Rachel Brinkley. So he just kind of pour it over him. This is outstanding on you sharing Springball's powers and abilities. Thank you. Yeah, I love doing that. 10 times normal or peak, 10 times peak human strength. So he's significantly stronger than us, right? And that's where the weight and density aspect comes into it, because he would have the ability to do something like lift up or, move something like a car. I mean, 10 at least. I may even go a little higher depending on what I want to do storytelling wise, because there's a reason how he got his strength, which is not something he was designed to have. That came from the story we're going to get to, over time. I'm not even sure how much I want to share of the origin aspect of things, because I've been thinking about that a lot with regards to Pulp, which is Pulp used to have this great tradition of introducing you to a character, their powers, and the author has some ideas about their origin, but it's really, there's really a lot of room. There's a lot of references to play there, so that's what I'm excited about. So yeah, here's Springball bouncing through the city, and the city of Kingsport, and there you've got a peek at another character right there in the window. That's Molly. Hanging out in the window there, seeing Springball. And, he is going after a villain, and that is my, the font I created of my lettering I did on the first Springball book. So, yeah. Yep, that you got to do the sound effects. Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate it. Isn't that funny? Yeah. Yeah, I know they do, and that's, that's a part of it. That's totally part of my sense of humor, man. Yes, I could totally come on the studio. Yeah, I don't even know what this is, but sure. Let me see here. And Hail Art Haida says Skeleton Core Comics. I feel like I'm missing things. Yeah, Jack is live, guys. Can somebody post a link for Jack in the chat for me? For Jack the Ripper Monster. Is it Monster Hunter or Monster Fighter? My brain is pudding this morning. Good God. It's been crazy. So yeah, so there's a look at Springball doing his thing. But when it comes to doing the layouts of where this thing is going, things like this, and then let me see. This is the Springball 14. That's Springball. The what page is that? The Dark Pit page. There we go. Oh yeah, this is one that's changed. Yeah. So this is a new page, and this is what the very early rough in phases look like when I'm doing layouts. So Springball at the start of the story is on the hunt looking for a kid who has disappeared, that he knows, who lives in a group home, and he's trying to find her before she's dead and gone, and that unfortunately ties him into Monster Hunter. There it is. Thank you, Skeleton Core Comics, and thank you, Glass Machine, guys. There it is, right there. ComicsAvalon.com, collections, campaigns, crowdfunding, products. There it is, Jack the Ripper, Monster Hunter. Check it out, guys. Mandy is an incredible promoter, and she comes up with really cool stuff and has a interest in the macabre and the horror, and Jack the Ripper is one of my favorite characters that she's created. He's kind of, people throw the term anti-hero around a lot, and so I always feel like I don't know if that's a good descriptor. He's an interesting character who does interesting things in interesting stories. That's what I would say. But if you're looking for a traditional hero, Jack the Ripper ain't it, and that's the big thing. It would be fun to get Shanth on the studio. Boy, you guys have a lot of faith in me and my entertainment value anywhere. I used to think that as a teacher a lot. I was like, what do people think I'm gonna? I feel very much like I'm still at a loss on all of it. But yeah, sounds good to me. Let me see here. So yeah, so here's me roughing in Springball, who is anatomically insane right now. But this is where, because I was messing around with where he was going to be in this, and I still am. And so this is one of those layouts And what are those panels that I used to love when I would see them in comics? And I would say, all right, like, what am I going to do with him? And I'm like, all right, so I want to have, there we go. I want to have the gesture of him. There we go. I want to get that gesture of him a little bit stronger and have it be more angled. I may have to raise him up because he's starting to mess with the composition as I, lengthen out his body. But that's the thing for me that is going to make this book what it is really what happens with the layouts. Layouts are so important. That dynamic sense of layout for me is what it comes down to. Holy cow, hold on a second. Got a suit. What do I have? Do I have a super chat or a member chat? Let me see. Ecam, where are you? Ecam. All right. Whoa, holy cow. Baldo user is here. What's up? And good Sunday to you, my friend. Super chat. Does Springball do you mean Nosfero share the same universe? They don't share the same universe, even though they have similar themes as I have in my book. And yeah, there's gonna be a sequel to Nosfero, and if you backed the Nosfero Oxidized Edition, you're going to see a huge sneak peek into that story and what it is and all of the characters. That's a great question. Yeah, because I love, and thank you again for pumping that in the chat. I do appreciate it, Glass Machine. Much appreciated, man. It's, guys, I'm telling you what, I've been so out of it catching up with, like, the printing stuff and the art stuff and family stuff. It's been nuts here. So yeah, I totally don't. Dude, you don't know about the studio. It's the best fan art show on the net. Very cool. Where your creations get butchered by only the best. I love it. Butchered by only the best primetime artists. Michael Ortiz will do good, though. There you go. Well, that's awesome. That's great. That sounds like a really fun show. Does Springball's tail have a limit? Yes, it does. On how long it gets. Oh, yes, that's right. For the picture, yes. So for me, the way I imagine it. Hang on a second. I gotta blow my nose. You guys don't need this. I sound terrible. Hang on a second. Let me change the name of this. There it is. Okay, let me turn this off. There we go. And hopefully we're back and you guys can hear me. So, yeah, Nosfero 2 is going to be sick. I know the end of Nosfero 2, which is what makes all this hard. One of my favorite people to hear talk about comics and his process has got to be Shane Davis. Shane and Yanzi both. I want to include Yanzi on this as well. Because they're really big planners in terms of how a story's going to go. Whether it's and I do a similar thing, but I had to kind of learn who my characters were. Like, I know Springball now. This new Springball is completely its own thing. And he's going to have a rogues gallery. He's going to have heroes and allies he teams up with, because I'm treating this like a superhero comic book where things happen. Oh, gosh, there's a character that you guys are going to get a glimpse of in this issue that is so awesome. You are going to love this character. Like, how do I put it? I love this character. You're going to dig this character. And he's inspired by... I know you might not see this at first when you look at him. You're going to probably see other influences. He's so inspired by characters like... oh, gosh. What's his name? Killer Shrike. Do you guys remember that character when Todd would draw him? And I just used to love the idea of having a character who is, like when you see Batman and Superman together is a really good example. They both have capes, right? When you see Batman and Robin together, Robin has a cape, but it's not nearly as drastic, so you can use that other caped hero as almost like a framing element. So I love to use Springball's tail as kind of where you get the energy from, almost in a sense like a cape. But I wanted to have a character with a cape that was a little bit more, because this book is an absolute love letter. Let me be super clear about this. This book is a love letter to the madness of an artist like Steve Ditko. Like Steve Ditko's wild way of looking at things. And so but it's like Ditko meets H.P. Lovecraft in that sense. But I love how Steve Ditko did very trippy work. So he would do characters that were like how do I put this? I've got a character in this story that's making an appearance that has got a little bit of Doctor Strange in him. And you just get a glimpse of him, but he's going to be a character that Springball plays off of and also has his own adventures. Dude, I could talk design for hours with you. Yeah, design is, I don't know, have you seen my design handouts that I posted on X of my the character design course I used to teach at RISD and at the other college I taught at, Montserrat College of Art? But I mean, I had this character design theory that I was teaching at. I lectured on it at Hasbro, MIT's Gambit Game Studios at MIT, Warner Brothers Games when it was Turbine Games. Let's see, where else? Microsoft Games, a lot of different places. So, and I also taught a course on it for 15 years, I think it was. So yeah, I definitely, design is a huge factor for me with these characters. Springball is a very tight design, and but he's also not so clean that he's got no soul to him. There's a playful quality to him. And there's a playful quality to his design that just lends itself to that. Yeah, Ditko's sci-fi artwork is awesome. Steve Ditko is amazing. If there's one person who I think who grasps Steve Ditko more than anybody in Comicsgate, my personal opinion, is Bosch Fawston for sure, by a country mile. Bosch gets cartooning, and what Steve Ditko and Ayn Rand and all of that, I know they're kindred spirits. Oh my gosh, I just realized something. I played a super chat, but I didn't give you cheerleaders. My apologies, my friend. Here are your cheerleaders. When you send a super chat, you get a cheerleader. So here you go. And here we are. So thank you so much for that $5 super chat. Happy Sunday, RJ. I hope you are doing well. We are having fun here in the heart of Lovecraft country. I can tell you that. So yeah, I love haunted houses. I love the Halloween season. I love all of that stuff. So I approach my comic books from the standpoint of how I would decorate a house or my room for Halloween. That's how I see it. Spooky, mysterious, exciting, adventurous. Let me see if this works. Brace yourselves, because this is going to be very unfortunate, because I know it's going to be a roller coaster ride here. But let's see if we can get this down to a much more manageable height, because I just realized that I'm looking up instead of, it's like checking your having to move your head to check your mirrors, you know what I mean? And I'm like no, I got too many things there. That's easier. I can look over at that. That's a bit easier to do. So yeah, when I'm thinking about these characters, and I think about what I want to do, a superhero world has its own sort of cast of characters and side characters, and it's tough for us to build a big world fast. But then I think about it and I go, but that's kind of what comics did back then. They're like, here's Doctor Doom and Fantastic Four. Here's, Mole Man. Like, we're going to introduce you to a new character every 5 minutes, and we're going to build this thing out. And Nosfero Book 2, much like Springball Book 2, is going to really show you a new character that you haven't seen before. And it's a new hero character that's going to be in Nosfero that I'm incredibly excited about for Nosfero Death Will Die. And the characters that are going to be happening in Springball are going to just be... They're going to take you back to that kind of amazing age in Image Comics where you never knew what you were going to get. You were going to open up a book and it was going to flip everything, and you're going to go, oh my gosh, this character can do this? I forgot. I'm reading an independent comic book. These characters can go anywhere. They can do anything, and that's what I love. Yes, indeed. Ditko's horror work for Warren is amazing. All right, you did this to all of us in the chat. I'm going to knock this camera over and break it. It's going to happen. So let's all be at peace with that. This is going to happen. Be right back. Let's see here. Let me grab some things here while I'm up. Da-da-da. Let me see. Where did I put this? Thank you for your patience, everybody. Let's see here. I have got a lot of cardboard boxes here for shipping to come. Lots of shipping. Not there. Do I have it? No, I don't have it on me. Shoot. I was going to grab one of my Ditko books, but I can't find it over there. Maybe I have it over here somewhere. Hang on. Oh man, let me see here. I just realized that I had my Alex Toth creepy and eerie stories. I had all this stuff, but I know I have some Ditko stuff kicking around here. I've got to find it because Warren Publishing was outstanding. One of my first introductions to Steve Ditko was Missing Man in the back of The Rocketeer. So how's that for trip? I saw that stuff before I saw his Amazing Spider-Man stuff. And I just thought, this dude is, like, nuts. Like, Missing Man is crazy. Sean, I can see a Nosfero Springball table. Yes. Oh, my God. I cannot wait, Mark, for the Fans Fest. It's going to be awesome. But, yeah, I mean, if I go down to Pensacola, I better be able to meet the hometown hero. Okay? If I ever find myself down in Pensacola, I need to meet Roy Jones Jr., the man, the myth, the legend. I need to get his autograph. That guy is one of my heroes. So great, man. And he's a great fight commentator. He's an outstanding fight commentator. Every game has players just like pieces. You're absolutely right. Do you guys want to see that, by the way? Should I show you guys? I don't know. Let me think on that. All right, I'm going to show you something cool real quick in Photoshop because I just realized I can drag an image in here to show you. You see this? This right here is the abandoned trolley tunnel that went under the city of Providence. And you see all this water here, and you see all of these submerged train tracks because it just flooded once they shut it down. This right here, actually, let me draw on it real quick. This right here, wait, hang on. This right here is the door that my friends and I came into when we were shooting this movie. All of this is just runoff water in the middle of this place. And that door is the only way in or out on it without walking all the way through to the other side that is sealed. At that time, it was sealed. And we were shooting this movie and we were using flares at the time. And it's the crazy thing that happened is we got so far into it while we were using flares that the flare smoke blocked out the light from that tiny doorway that was the only natural light coming into the place. And this kid we were with started having a panic attack. And because he couldn't see the light. Like, he started panicking because the door's shut, we're trapped. And I was like, dude, you need to calm down. This is not a place to panic at all. Like, you don't need to run around. You could trip, fall, God knows what's in here. But it was nuts. So this is a place I actually walked through, and because it was a film, I think I have a student film that you can't see it. It was so stupid because, in a way, because the scenes where we're in there aren't any wide shots hardly, so you can't really see what we're doing. I mean, you see a little bit of it, but it was so dark. But yeah, it is. I know this city, man. It is crazy. Let me see. The video is of the Bay. Oh, at my place, and has audio from this stream. No kidding. Oh, I've got to check that out, dude. That's awesome, man. That is so cool. I got to check that out. Yeah, I was fortunate to bless two of Bosch's drawings. Yeah, he did a drawing of Springball for me, man. That dude is awesome. All because the trailer that I did, which was just great, man. Yeah, love those images. People would be amazed with how many abandoned caverns there are. 100%. So many of these places in these ancient cities. And this is something that Lovecraft would have probably traveled through at some point, which is even, to me, even crazier to see these aspects of things. But let me show you guys something fun. And then we can talk about a holiday that I want to make sure I remember to celebrate. We'll talk about that as well. I mean, this is something I was just thinking of because I miss it every single year. How many Springball things do I have here? All right, I'm going to show you a glimpse of something that's top secret. Just for us. Let's see here. I don't even know. Let me see. Where is it? Oh, wait. Oh, was that it? Hold on. Yep, that was it. This has never been seen before. I'm not going to talk about it too terribly much. But this is a glimpse into a character. What is up, Mikey's Madness? How are you doing, man? Hail to you. This is a glimpse into the character that I was talking about. That's going to be in Springball's world. And I can show it to you guys in the layout sketch. And this place where he lives is... whoops. Let me undo whatever I did there. There we go. The place where he lives is based on an actual location as well because it's a really cool location. So there's going to be places that I illustrate in here that you can see their facsimile in Providence, Rhode Island. If you're up here, you can sort of see the facsimile in Lovecraft's hometown. And then there's some places, of course, that are going to be purely just imaginative spaces. So that's the fun of it all anyway. Nothing like Advil. I should get them as a sponsor. So this is where I'm really leaning into my Halloween stuff and my crazy horror stuff. And that's where we're going to start to have a lot of fun. Been by that tunnel many times, but never inside. It's giving me TMNT vibes. So if someone were to say to me, Sean, you know, you talk about McFarlane, you talk about Ditko, you talk about all of this kind of stuff. I would not be here. I would never have thought of doing anything with or sorry, no, let me rephrase that. Oh, wow. So there's 3 big things that happened in my life comic related. The first time I saw Todd McFarlane's Hulk work, particularly Hulk issue 340, that was the first time I wanted to be a comic book artist. Before that, the comic book that got me to go to a comic book shop was Punisher Limited Series number 2, the cover by Mike Zeck, painted by Zimmelman. And it's just an awesome Punisher piece of artwork. Without that, I never would have gone to a comic shop. The first comic book I ever read and owned, we go back even further. Same guy is introducing me, by the way, my friend Zach Cullis. So respect to you, Zach. You've got a little dedication in the credits for this book, by the way. But he introduced this to me, I think it was in the 4th or 5th grade when we first met. Was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles trade paperback. And that's what I want to see happen in independent comics. I want to see us doing things that break through and get out there. There was this amazing time in the 80s when you had comic books like Love and Rockets, where you had comic books like The Rocketeer that were coming out. You had comic books like, gosh, what are some of my favorites? Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Cerebus. You had all, like, I had a buddy who was a huge Cerebus fan, and when I went to a comic convention, Dave Sim was drinking and drawing back in the day. Anyway, I think he's sober now, but was drawing at a bar, and all I was thinking about was my friend, and I said, "Can you do a drawing of Cerebus? My friend is such a huge fan of yours." And that's the kind of thing a lot of creators might think back now. They would think you were going to flip it on eBay, but Dave Sims did a drawing for my high school friend of his favorite character, Cerebus. What a good guy, man. What a legend, man, to do that. That was pretty cool. But yes, indeed. Comic books in cahoots. What's up? Smokers need never surrender to the dark. Agreed. 100%. Love those images. People would be amazed. Oh, just jumped. With how many abandoned... Yes, absolutely right. They would be. So yeah, Pacific Comics were great. I still have... Do I have them here or did I move them? I think I might have them here. Oh my god, look at that. I have the first comic I ever drew here. Oh my gosh, I have the first issue of Springball here. Wow. I don't have a lot of copies of this. Oh, I still have this on. Oh well. There you guys go. There are not... You can see from how used this copy is from the spine. If you don't have a copy of the original issue of Springball, I don't have them. So eBay is the only place you can find them. And you guys have been buying these things up like crazy and sent the price of Springball through the roof. When this book comes out, it's going to get even worse. And by the way, this book that you guys are backing on Indiegogo, the first of its kind. I know you do, Leighton. I know you do, man. I love the Rocketeer. You guys can see the Rocketeer movie poster behind me. Huge influence. Batman 1989 is a huge influence on Springball. All of that stuff. Picked up mine on eBay, says a serious man. See, you guys know. I, too, have the first issue, says Mark's Music Obsession. I've got them, says Mr. Stephen Rockwood. I know it's a rough layout, but I dig those buildings, that flat color, no outlet. Thank you for saying that, Chad. I appreciate it. I need to do things that way. I need to think in color first and block things in like a painter. I love having you guys over, by the way, on Sundays. You know, it's really fun for me, and why I love calling the show Comics and Curios Inside the Studio, because it's like your guests where I'm working. You know what I mean? And that's something that's never been possible before for comic book artists. When you see Ethan working, or you see John, I don't know if John draws, I think a lot of places, but I think John draws at his desk. I know Shane draws at his desk. You get to actually see us in our studios working. So you guys can see my insane book and collectibles pile, but it's tons of books. I have a library of books over here and over there. So then the stack that's behind me. But I love looking at independent comics and grabbing things, and things like this. Like these Greater Mercury comics that I think were designed on Word, for heaven's sake. Look at the type on this from back in the day. Nightmaster issue 1 is examined. Drawn by Tim Vigil. Like, this is independent comics for me. Nuts, man. It's totally crazy. And then, of course, we've also got over here Rob Liefeld's Youngblood. There you go. You know what I mean? Completely crazy to me. Like, I love all of this stuff. I was wondering if I had my Pacific Comics stuff over here, but I don't know if I could find it without causing a horrific avalanche. And I'm already close to an avalanche right now. Oh, man. We're hanging on by a thread. But yeah, like, that's the thing. Yes, you back the facsimile. You're going to, guys, the side-by-side of the facsimile versus the actual book is going to be mind-bending. Because you're going to go, whoa, what happened? Like, what happened? But that's the stuff I love. I got Springball and the Springball preview, which is also rare. Picture me and Mrs. Engetti when we were much younger, going to conventions in Philadelphia and Wizard World in Chicago and selling copies of that preview book for $1 so that people could come to the booth, get something for $1, and walk away with Springball. And those things are also really rare. It's the first 10 pages of Springball. And this is going to be such a cool book and such a cool character. I think we're starved for comic book characters that sort of speak to where we are right now. And I don't mean like socio-political BS. I mean in terms of art, adventure, and cool stuff. Like, we've been looking at cool stuff for a while. I don't know where all the cool stuff went, but we're bringing it back. And I think you see that when you see us working. So I get to have a character here that is this kind of mysterious character that you're going to learn about and see lots of cool stuff with. What layer are they on anyway? Oh, there we go. That's going to be a really cool character the more you guys get a chance to see this character. And let's have some fun over here on this page. Since you guys are seeing stuff, I'm going to talk more about Springball and what I'm doing on it on these streams, because I do think it's useful to us because we're introducing people to a lot of stuff without giving away endings the best we can anyway. It's good for us to be able to introduce people to this stuff and how we work and how get people excited about the books. So this right here, right, we've got this character, but something I was desperate to do, and I'm so glad I'm getting to do it, is to have a character who's got a hero character who's got a really cool kind of lab, and also has like a cousin Eerie, like henchman like character. And that's the thing that I see that gets me the most excited about this, is the idea of having characters where it's like, Batman has Alfred, characters have their own assistants, but I'm thinking more in terms of Dr. Frankenstein and Fritz from the first movie, or Igor from the later movies. And that's the stuff that gets me excited about making comic books, is showing people this world. This is a character, by the way, I haven't even designed yet. So I don't know where I'm going to go with him. I'm starting to get an idea right now as we're talking. How many of you guys have seen, I think we were just talking about this on stream, how many of you guys have seen the original black and white The Man Who Wasn't There? Or sorry, not The Man Who Wasn't There. The Man Who Knew Too Much. Not the Coen Brothers black and white movie. But The Man Who Knew Too Much with Peter Lorre. Peter Lorre's character had this white streak of hair down his face. And this has totally got to be a Peter Lorre character. Because I love Peter Lorre. He's such a great actor. He's got to have that vibe to him. But he's got this white streak down his hair. And I think that could be really, really cool. A little bit of a hunchback thing happening. All of that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's got to happen, man. We got to do this stuff. So yeah, we're going to have some very cool stuff happening. Imagination and fun from a singular vision instead of intellectual property by committee. You're 100% right. Yeah, that movie is a classic, and the Criterion edition of it. People ask me sometimes, yes, the 1950s remake. How do you make a classic twice with the same movie? It's insane. Got to bounce off to Workland. Understood. Tank Fair presents. Thank you for being here, my friend. I appreciate you, and have a wonderful Sunday, and have a great productive day at work. I prefer OG Peter Lorre. Yes, The Man Who Knew Too Much, to the Jimmy Stewart one. Yes, absolutely. I saw the Jimmy Stewart one first, like a lot of people, and then when Criterion did their remaster of it, film restoration people are my heroes. What they do to make sure we get to see films and that films last into the future, I can't say enough good things about. And they did a restoration of The Man Who Knew Too Much that is so pristine and so beautiful, and it really shows you how creative the Hitchcock world is, and all of the different visuals of Hitchcock during that time. Yes, indeed. Timmy Mello saying, "Be safe, Tank Ferret." Amen. Yeah, Hitchcock's British movies are underrated. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. Yeah. And so, when you look at superhero comics when they're done well and when they were being done on 11, you're getting not only a sense of, that there's this whole, there's a whole lot of characters in this space. There's characters in this space. I try not to do too much too soon. But the main thing is the city. These characters belong in the city of Kingsport. And they are there because they serve a purpose to Springball's story, not because they're just being thrown in there. Like this character, I was like, why would I not use something that I need to do, which is give the audience some exposition? Why wouldn't I do something give it in the coolest way possible? And then the addition of that character changed both Molly and Drook. This is speaking of all my favorite characters. So it changed all of those characters. And so Drook, who is sort of Springball's friend in law enforcement, Drook has a secret life as well. You could almost say that Drook in this world went from being kind of that inexplicable friend of the hero who's on the force, who looks the other way, to this vigilante character. I mean, it's cool. I mean, it works for Batman and everything like that. But Drook turned into something else. And Drook is not only in law enforcement, but Drook is also a secret agent, much like the Shadows agent of this character that you're seeing right here. And then it just made the story that much better. And it made, guys, Springball is Dorothy in Oz right now, and so are all of us when you pick up this book. It is absolutely like being thrown into this new world. There's supposedly, my glasses just fell, there's supposedly a restored version of Lon Chaney Sr.'s London After Midnight. Have they found it? No. Did they find that movie? I would love to see that. come out. Even though I know some people say it's going to be anticlimactic and the script is kind of silly, I would love to see that happen. And I can tell you, I think that this character right here and this aspect of Springball has created, has helped to reinforce the vibe that I want for this book, because that's what, whoa, let me escape here. I just maximized that window. There we go. That's the thing that, if I can find it here, hang on a second. File, find. I'm just going to show you guys a ton of stuff today. It seems right. It seems right to show you guys. Every week I should show you a ton of stuff. Because you guys are a part of this. You guys are who back this book, are financing it. You're funding it. You're making it, you know, what it is and what it's going to be. And I'll show you one of my let's see if I can find one of my favorite crazy pages that I think I showed you previously that's in the works. That page you guys have seen. I want to show you this new character so bad, but I can't. So frustrating. He's got such a good name, too. When I came up with this character's name, I just started laughing my head off. I was like, this is going to be awesome. Oh, man, there's one of those great sexy pages of, playfully sexy and funny pages of Molly. But I can only show that if Stephen Rockwood requires it. That's the only way it's going to work. Oh, man, I just want to keep opening pages for you guys that are in the works. Here's another page in the works. Oh, man. Oh, scary stuff is afoot. Scary, creepy stuff is afoot in this story. Yeah, so right now the book is 2, 3, 4. What am I at now? Right now I think the book is at, what is it, 30, is it 36 or 35 pages? I don't know. But it's over 30 pages, and it's cruising. I think it's going to come in at just under 40 pages of story, in addition to the other stuff that's going to be in there. And originally I was like, I'm going to rework the first story. Maybe it'll be like 26 or so pages. And it's like, no, man. You're going to get... You guys know when you back our books in Comicsgate and we do this stuff, we want to give you guys more. So I'm going to give you guys in this book not only the first appearance of this incarnation of Springball. I think the case can be made that that the 2002 was sort of the first appearance of Springball. But not only are you going to be seeing this incarnation of Springball and the first appearance of that, you're going to be seeing the first proper appearance of the new versions of these other characters, and then 2 brand new characters that have never been in. One is a monster villain that's a change of a previous character, and the other is the first appearance of a brand new hero character. And you guys are gonna love this character. You guys are gonna love this. It's so fun. Like, I just laugh my head off when I'm writing this stuff, because I go, this is what comics are supposed to be. I am so grateful to Comicsgate, and for, you know, John Malin and your boy Zach, and John certainly being the first professional artist over the wall, and then Ethan just knocking it out of the park with CYBERFROG and building all of this, all of the stuff that only an extrovert can do. That it's like he's putting his work out there, you know, coming from the world where he's created so much stuff at DC Comics proper, and he's worked in so many different industries, and just seeing him create a space where, you know, we're able to kind of get our work out there to an audience. Because I crowdfunded 2 books before I came to Comicsgate, 2 art books. So I know how hard that is. And then I had 2 successful campaigns with modest goals that funded, and I printed this. So when I ship Nosfero, it's going to be the 4th campaign I've shipped. But what's going on here and what the energy of this is not something I pictured I was going to stumble upon at this point. I didn't think Springball was coming back to life. Didn't know Nosfero was going to exist. I owe all of that to Comicsgate and Ethan and John and your boy Zach and Shane as well, and the guys who have just been I know I'm like forgetting tons of people whenever I talk, but all of the people who have been just pushing this thing. And I think the first time Ethan talked about my work on stream was maybe 2019, maybe 2018. I'm not sure. And it's just been a roller coaster ride after that. But where are we? Where's the character? I'm like looking for this page and I can't find it. I'm trying to make these characters interact in a way at the same time that's nice. Like, I don't want these characters to be... I don't want them to be boring, but I don't want them to be cynical either. Oh, man, I love that. I cannot wait to finish some of these pages and show them to you guys. I'm going to show them to you in the layout phase because I think it's... I got to keep some mystery, right? I mean, I changed the climax of this book, for God's sake. So I've shown this page. What was I even looking for at the start? Oh, I guess we'll look at this. Here we go. Sorry, I'm neglecting the chat. Let me come back to where the eCam window is. Yeah, the days those boxes arrive will be amazing. You're going to love it, man. I'm glad you added much more exciting. Yes, you guys are going to see something new. Stephen Rockwood celebrating 41. How is it 41 months of membership? How long? I can't believe What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Stephen Rockwood, let me please give you some cheerleaders. Hang on a second here. For 41 months of membership. I can't believe it's been that long. Here we go.
Charge! Charge!
Alrighty, so let's see where we are here. Thank you, Stephen Rockwood. And there you go, sir. We have things happening in this book. Lots of things are happening in this book. So here you go. That's for you, Stephen Rockwood. That's for you. Enjoy. So when I get to a page like this, and I'm working on, really the climax of the book, which is a new climax, and the scope and scale. If you picture this as a great white shark down here, you get an idea of the scale we're looking at for these creatures. This is what we're doing with this character. This is where it's going to go, like in terms of the scope and scale possible. So for that very reason, I had to make sure that when I was doing this stuff and I was working on these characters, that I had to think about them in those terms. And I went, there's got to be more scope to this. I've got to make these characters bigger, bolder, more insane, and really push things through and push the ceiling on what's possible on this. And so that's what's possible, is that you can do things like this, where you've got, that sort of haunted, scary craziness. Mark's Music Obsession knows. I just rewatched, Wolf with Jack Nicholson. Yeah, and found it to be the best modern version of the Universal Monster type film. I love Wolf. I know some people can take it or leave it. I think it's a fantastic movie. A really fantastic drama. I think what happened was, if I'm not mistaken, I think that people were expecting Lon Chaney's The Wolfman, and the makeup for that movie was the first big werewolf movie, which was Werewolf of London. And the Werewolf of London makeup is what, before the full wolf transformation, is what they were doing when they were in their human forms. And for those of you guys who don't know, the Werewolf of London makeup was really very much the inspiration with the Widow's Peak for Wolverine. So it has direct ties, like so much of the Universal monster movies, right, that were around and happening just before and during the golden age of comic book boom with superheroes. They had a huge influence that lasted generations. And I can't overstate that. That's right, the golden shower scene in Wolf. Yes, I love that. What are you doing? Marking my territory. See, look at all you guys. I knew you guys would be talking about it. Yeah, man. That's the stuff. I love that movie, man. Michelle Pfeiffer is great in that movie, the backstory of her character. But you can see, once I get rolling on this stuff, and this is the writing phase, what you're seeing. I write with the pictures and the word balloons at the same time. So I'll scribble in a word balloon to figure out where things are going. So here you've got, a sequence with I can't tell you the name of this character yet, what his monster sort of name is, what his supervillain character name is. But it's, we'll call him by his actual name, which is Victor von Freud. And Victor von Freud is essentially, he's trying to do evil things. and bring evil things, not bring evil things into our world, interestingly enough. That's not what this story's about. It's about bringing evil things that are asleep and are already in our world. Because I think that's such an important part of storytelling for me, which is the monsters were known to us once. They've just been forgotten. And just like heroism and superheroes have been known to us, but they've been forgotten. There's too much gray. There's too much gray in storytelling right now, where you can't tell the difference between the heroes and the villains. And in my stories, both are bold, bright, powerful, and exciting. And when people ask me, what are the touchstones for Springball, there are so many touchstones for Springball in this story. There's a million. One of them, for some of you guys may know, this one for me is unabashedly, I should say not unabashedly, because that's not the word I'm looking for. Before I knew it was a comedy, when I saw it as a kid, so I wasn't even thinking it was satire and they were being silly, I fell in love with the Batman 60s television series. And I absolutely love the Batman the movie with Adam West and Burt Ward and Cesar Romero. And I mean, where do we... Burgess Meredith. I mean, that movie is great. And it's an influence in terms of how I think about making comics and comics in this world. I want it to be bold, beautiful, playful, colorful, and be able to have moody lighting like what Jack Asher would do in the Hammer horror movies. But he didn't gray down and dull his palette to do it. Awakening the Sleeping Ones. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And because I kind of think when I look at things, there are certain mistakes that people make. You can look at parents generationally. You could look at cultures generationally. That you think to yourself, how many times are we going to have to make that mistake? And the answer is most likely for as long as we're in existence, because these are elements of the human condition. And are falling into the same mistakes or the same wrong directions we get into are what define us moving in a positive direction. And the problem is that, or not the problem is, the reason Springball exists is because we're coming out of one of those periods. The reason Springball exists is because our culture went into a place where the kinds of stories that you see with CYBERFROG and what Ethan's doing, the kind of stories you see with what John Malin is doing with Godlike and Black Riding Hood, the kinds of stories you see that Shane is doing with Inglorious Rex, these big, bold, Andy Smith is doing with First Man and Cordrath, Aaron Lopresti is doing with Wraith of God, my monster brother, Graham Nolan, is doing with everything, whether it's Escape from the Monster Island series, which is awesome, or for my money, Shanu 77, some of the panels he's shown me in the limited palette, man. Graham, my monster brother, I just sent him a YouTube video dissecting Thing from Another World. And I love, where would my life be without being able to share monster stuff with Graham? Anyway, got on a tangent there. What Bosch Foston's doing with Pigman, this sort of bare knuckle, like raw, badass thing that you want to see comics do, that The Dark Knight Returns did, that, Batman Year One did, all of that kind of stuff. Frank Miller at the top of his powers did. Toth had that sort of power in the drawing, but Bosch brings it to the storytelling. Gosh, I'm just trying to think of all the books. I know I'm forgetting people, and I hate that, man. But if I start going, that's what's going to happen. Heaven help me. But you guys are making it possible because we have been in these doldrums, these creative doldrums of dross, and we're just people like me. We're kind of we're watching this and we're seeing this stuff. And for me, I would say Comicsgate for me starts with Ethan. I wasn't watching your boy Zach. I got introduced to your boy Zach through Ethan. For me, I just watched a Star Wars fan get canceled and fight back. That's how that went for me. And so the first Ethan Van Sciver comic I ever bought was CyberFrog. I didn't follow DC Comics. I didn't know any of his work previous. I guess I did buy something of his without knowing it because I bought 12 Rules for Life. But so Ethan inspired me to crowdfund my first 2 art books on Indiegogo, which I did because I knew John Malin's story. So even when I didn't know anybody and I wasn't, benefiting from being able to say I'm Comicsgate, and then of course all the things that come along with it on the other aspect of the spectrum, all of the slings and arrows, I knew enough to go, I don't like the idea of an artist being kicked off of a platform. And I didn't know anything about John Malin at that point when I did those art books. But I wrote to Ethan and said, hey, you inspired me to do these art books. And then it was just like I suddenly realized these are the people I'm supposed to be hanging out with. Because we have so much in common. We have so many similar touchstones. And this is where the people who like to draw and tell stories are. And that's why I'm here, guys. It has been like a lifeline for me, is being here and doing the stuff that I do. I can't overstate that. And I've been looking for like, I've had my brother Rocky, who I've taught comics and art with, but having people that you can actually talk about the craft of storytelling and comics, who've also worked in, I've worked in consumer products for DreamWorks, video game concept art, and comics on things like Starship Troopers and Flash Gordon back in the day. Did some one-shots and things there. But it's a whole nother level when you're with people who are trying to create things from the ground up, their own characters, their own stuff, tell their own stories, and then having to do the promotion, the streaming. This is this kind of space is very unique, and it's never been before. And Comicsgate for me is where it started, and it will always be where it started. It's not. I think it's just a matter of fact. This particular way that we interact with you guys. And I'm so grateful, man. I can't tell you how grateful I am for it. I know I keep saying that, but you'd be surprised how, no matter what stuff, people always go, man, if people who know me are like, man, you've been through a lot of stuff in your life and a lot of twists and turns, and I'm sure that's true for all of you guys in the chat. What makes you so positive about things? And I go, well, it's not naivete, I can tell you that. It's what makes me positive are those experiences. What makes me positive is the gratitude. The gratitude for people who back my books, who are strangers, and say, hey, I trust you. I know you're going to get this book out. I know it's going to be something I'm going to love to have in my house. And the people who join me, you guys who join me on streams to watch me make work, it's unbelievable. And for people who don't know, nobody is ever obligated. No one's ever obligated to promote anybody's book or do any of these kinds of things at all. And people, when they promote your book, aren't obligated to promote your book in the future and all of that kind of stuff, which is so crazy because I did all this stuff on Indiegogo the first time I did it solo. So that idea, it was my big Instagram following, and that's not an easy thing to pivot to sales, by the way. It's rare that you can do that. And but I think I had at my height, I had 38,000 followers on Instagram, all homegrown, not from, I wasn't following people back to build those numbers, none of that stuff. It was just people seeing my artwork and following back when Instagram was, before it was bought by Facebook. And to have people who are invested in promoting other people does not happen other places. No matter how many times Ethan would say that on stream, I feel like people don't get it. This doesn't happen other places. People trade likes, people trade, superficial sort of things. But, I dropped my son off at college. Both of our kids went off to college because they're twins. And so I was a 1 day old empty nester. And while I was dropping my son off at college, I sent an email to Ethan. And I said, Ethan, I'm going to do the Second Chance campaign for Nosfero. I'm launching it. Is there any chance you'd be willing to launch the book on your channel? And I was heartbroken, man. I don't know how to word this. I just dropped my son off at college, man. I don't want to be a sap, but the truth hurts. I'm a sap. I felt like I just left a part of my heart somewhere, The guy I watched, like, you with your son and your daughter, you have like different things that you do. And it's like with my son, he was the guy I watched stupid action and monster movies with, that I watched Pacific Rim with when he was little, and that kind of thing. And so I just dropped him off at school, and Ethan goes, yeah, absolutely. How does it sound? This Sunday, let's launch Nosfero, and I'm going to be also launching Dale Keown's Pitt campaign, his poster campaign. That does not happen. I've got my rejection letters from Mike Carlin. I've got my love your work stuff from Mark Chiarello that never, transitioned into a job. I have been to the Great Wall of China. I have seen the Great Pyramids. I've even seen if you know the quote, you know the quote. And this is unique, even in academia, even in teaching. The more political an environment is, the more crazy backbiting you see. So that stuff never shocks me. I try to avoid that stuff and not be involved in it, and I try to, I stay out of that to the extent it's possible. I'm happy to talk, like if somebody is obnoxious, I'm happy to deal with it. But in a world where there's all this weird stuff, it goes against how I kind of think about things. Let me see if I can put it to you this way. There was a moment that happened. We're going to take it out of Comicsgate because I think this is really relevant to a lot of places and people haven't thought about it much. There was a moment in teaching college when there was this amazing trust. The students come into the classroom. You come in to the classroom as a teacher. And in that room, you talk about, like, you got to work on your anatomy. You need to do this. You need to do that. And you can only be as free as I am here in this space. Everyone knew that we were all adults, and everybody knew they had to be able to take a critique and do all of these various things. There got to be a point with the internet that changed it violated the sanctity of the classroom and the teacher-student relationship, where you would talk in class and busybody, gossipy, the worst students in the class who didn't have their homework and didn't do very good work could cause a lot of trouble for their fellow classmates by going online to Discord servers, by recording people without asking their permission in class. And suddenly it became a very public space and a very a terrible environment for learning, and a really ripe environment for bullying, harassment, and things you would never think about happening like anywhere before, because these kids had no respect for it. Like, they would burn down relationships with teachers, and then they'd graduate and go, "Can you write me a recommendation?" And it's like, what? That's the kind of thing that you're seeing a very public version of when you're in Comicsgate, but it happens everywhere. The difference is that when I'm talking to you guys, if I decide to teach and do stuff here on this channel, which I'm working on, I know, if I decide to do that here, it's going to be how I want to run a classroom, and it's not going to be how unskilled bureaucrats think it should be done and charge a fortune for it, which is ridiculous. So I want to find a way that makes it work, and I'm actually working with one of my brothers right now who's taking a hard look at everything I'm doing and going, we need to go crazy with this stuff. Like, we need to blow this up. Like, you own this stuff. Like, you own all these properties. You're creating all of this stuff. We need to start really making things happen. He's an awesome dude. And him and I, it's weird how God brings people into your life sometimes, man. I could think about that all day. But that's the stuff, to me, that makes this space so special. And I'm so grateful for when John was like, John just finished doing a stream before he launched Springball where he was talking about, I'm done launching people. Every time I help someone, I get stabbed in the back. And so I was still around when the stream ended just to say, hey, man, thanks. I was going to tell him, thank you for saying Springball's launching. And John, being John, looks at me and goes, you want to launch it on my channel? And I'm like, didn't you just say? There's a romantic in there, I tell you. There's a romantic lover of comics and gummy bears who are bouncing here and there and everywhere. High adventure that's beyond compare. They are the gummy bears. You know what I'm saying? They are the gummy bears. I mean, magic and mystery are part of their history, along with the secret of gummy berry juice. You know? Duke Igthorn be damned. You guys know what I'm talking about. You just do. That's how we operate. But we're creating really cool, spectacular, thrilling comic books and adventure books that are fan-funded by people who believe in creativity. And you guys are better than customers. Backers, to me, customers are great, but you guys are in your own category because you're funding the work of doing the book. You're funding the actual work of doing the book. This is what we are putting into this stuff in terms of comics and detail and all of that stuff. Amen, says Comic Books and Cahoots. You know what I'm talking about. What's up, Bootlegger Comics? It's great to see you, and I love that freaking logo, man. That's beautiful. I love that, man. So when it gets into, like, you know, those very important questions of, and there's my tip of the cap to Malin. There you go. Malt 40 ounce right there. And that's a nod to Hergé as well and Captain Haddock. So Marlin Spike is one of those things. But yeah, this page, whoops, didn't mean to draw on this. This page being where it's located in the book with him saying, "My name is Springball," is one of the many beautiful things that John brought to the process of making it. So not only did John offer to launch the book, when the campaign was half done, he started scribbling and sketching, as he's wont to do. And he sends me a message on X and says, "Hey, I did this cover of Springball if you want to use it. If you want to use it." What? I don't even know what to say, man. It's like if you saw my if you backed the box of Black Riding Hood 2, you're going to get the exclusive cover I've done that's in that box. It's the only place you could get it. For Black Riding Hood 2, but that grew out of, like, I was just, this is incredible. Even if he doesn't use it, I have to do in my Springball style, which, it was, John just loves that kind of approach to things. When I'm doing that kind of stuff. Where is it? Do I have it here? Let me see. I think that's it. Is that it? Yeah, I think this is it. Let's look at this. I have so much reference and stuff on my computer that it's diabolical. This computer's from 2020. It's 6 years old. I don't know how long it's going to. Yes, I do need a lozenge, Stephen Rockwood. You know it's true. They can get grumpy, but they're wonderful people who want to help at their core. Absolutely. No doubt. I could see that the stream was struggling as I was loading things. I know what you mean. I'm trying to help promote Devilina. Well, feel free to drop a link. Since the creator is fairly new and all these people who've been backstabbed time and time again are willing to give an unknown a chance. That's it. Feel free to drop the link. Yeah, Gummy Bears, Chad, coming in, Chad Kaplan animation. Gummy Bears' first full animation made for TV. I know what you mean. It was incredibly well drawn. Really great animation. Yeah, John is cool. I'm looking forward to getting Black Riding Hood 2 soon. Me too. So for those of you guys who know, that cover was the biggest reason to get the box. Oh man, late. Jeez, man, hit me with the love on a Sunday. Respect. Love you, brother. You know that's true. Mark heading out. Got to run. Absolutely enjoy this weather, man. Thank you for being a channel member, man. And you are very welcome for this stream. Have a great day, everybody, and you have a great day too, Mark. Much love, brother. And seriously, I'm so glad we met through all this. It's one of those wonderful things, man. And yeah, everybody's saying take care, Mark. Timmy Mello saying take care, Mark. Yeah. So let's take a look at this this cover in terms of the deep dive into it. And you guys can see when I'm doing this stuff. There's your little Springball Easter egg in the hilt of the sword. Boy, this is struggling. I'm really making my computer work. Sorry for any lag. But you can see the Springball logo or face in the hilt of the sword there. And then getting into all of the crazy, complicated stuff I'm trying to do. Yes, indeed. I gamble on dreamers. So, Comic Books and Coots, that's my favorite. You need to make a shirt that says that. You should ask Ethan if you can make a shirt that says that. Comicsgate, I gamble on the dreamers. That is a freaking great line, man. Oh, not a mod. Hang on a second, Art Haida. Let me take care of that for you. Hang on. Let me see if I can figure that out. There should be a way to do it. One sec. Okay, videos. Let me see where I'm at here. Let me see here. 5 shorts. There should be a way to do this. Content detection. I gotta figure out where I can find that. Where is it? Hang on. Okay, let me see if I can find this. Where'd it go? It may be tough for me to find it, but I might be able to track it down. I'm sorry, I'm like moving at the speed of stop. Let me see here. Where are we? Where are we? Where are we? There we go. Art Haida, let me know if you can moderate now. CG is the best, man. There's nowhere and nothing like it. Absolutely right. As I love to tell people, I don't leave my house. It's dangerous out there. It's not my thing. It's not going to happen. And people always say, are you going to be at a convention? Are you going to be at this? Are you going to be at that? Like, people ask me those questions. And because I am a very introverted person. Very introverted. I travel to see family. I travel when my wife and I go somewhere, like vacation-wise, but I don't travel. But I think when we started talking about For the Fans Fest, I was like, this is important. You know what I mean? Absolutely right, man. Yeah, the Vigil influence strikes me the hardest on that cover. Marvelous. Yes. Tim Vigil has had such a huge influence on my work. So Tim Vigil, I saw Todd's work and I wanted to do a comic books for a living. But Grips issue #1 was what made me want to draw my first comic book, like my own first comic book. In fact, I have it here as proof. See, that's the crazy thing about all this stuff. Like, it's proof is a thing. That's the joy of doing things under your own name. Oh shoot! Hang on a second. I'm really trying to work on my swearing because it's gotten out of control. And I mean, I did such a good job not swearing when my kids were little, but it was, oh my Lord. Like, once I started, and I even told my kids that, I go, I've done a lot of things. Like I've done a lot of things in terms of, I smoked for a while, like from when I was like 11 to 18, I think I smoked. And by the time I stopped, it was like 3 packs a day. It was not great. And I quit doing that. And I've always told my kids, cussing is harder to quit. Cussing and using the Lord's name in vain are harder to quit than that. It's a nightmare. This is the comic I did when I was 14 years old. This is my first comic book. So I was 14, didn't know much of anything. And this is my homage to Grips. So this is me as a kid doing comics, right? And, I mean, I was printing the lettering out on a word processor and trying to figure out how to do things, looking at, like, Tim Vigil stuff and Todd McFarlane's stuff. And I didn't know how to draw a Tommy gun. I had no reference. Not even God knows what kind of gun that is or what kind of hands those are. Oh, God, this is painful. But I sure as heck knew how to draw an Uzi 9mm. Of course I did, right? Everybody does. It is, I'm telling you, it is so hard. It's so hard. But there you go, Art Haida. There's a link right there. New Comicsgate creator. Check it out. There you go. Good job, Art Haida. And so, yeah, here's me trying to draw things in this comic book. Oh, my God, it's crazy. Classic vigilante guy getting mugged in an alleyway. Vigilante is above him in this shot, but the perspective is diabolical. This is the first Jonathan Jetty comic. God help him. God bless this child. But from the very beginning, the first thing I ever did, it was like, I was like 14, and I wrote, drew, illustrated, made a comic book. That's what I do. Here's my little crazy skinless anatomy. I mean, but you can see me trying to do Tim Vigil here, by the way. This is that Tim Vigil Grips page where he's working out before he goes to fight crime. And that was totally me drawing from a movie. I think it was like was it Newsweek, or it was some movie magazine of Patrick Swayze from Roadhouse. And this is me actually trying to draw the actress from Roadhouse. Do you guys remember that movie, Roadhouse? It's super like Grips. Book is super like Grips. Not even just a little bit. And then here's a character with some absolutely terrible graffiti on the wall. I mean, it's just painful to look at. There's the name of my local comic shop owner and his wife, Wade and Delma. So I've got my stuff like that. And then there's my buddy Zach, who introduced me to comics. Gosh, there's so much in here that I've forgotten about. Deathstalker. Dun dun dun. Oh my gosh. And this gangster guy, this head mob boss, if you know the page from Grips #1 that I'm referencing here horribly, please buy Grips instead of looking at this. This is me loving that stuff, man. But I was a kid drawing my first comic book, and I was super motivated to do this stuff. So I just realized that stopped playing. And so, yeah, like, this is stuff comics has been something I've been doing since I was a kid, really. Yeah, that book is super Grips. Your later stuff reminds me most of Vigil's, Ravage and Omen period. Yes, indeed. The line work especially. Yes. Tim Vigil, when he was doing some of that incredible promotional stuff for Silver Wolf, was just crushing it. Yeah. I draw a lot of Thompson machine guns in my refined stuff, especially the M1920. M1928. Yeah, that has the end at the end of the barrel. Yeah. I've been drawing some really wild guns lately, but there's some really cool stuff. I had older brothers and can't remember a time without comics. There you go. Roadhouse was great. Sam Elliott is a badass in that flick, 100%. Yeah, that movie I thought it was the coolest thing. I showed my wife that movie, and she just looked at me like, so this was like a thing? I was like, this was a thing for us. We like this. Bless her. She made it through it somehow. But yeah, Grips was, thank you, Chris. Yeah, it's crazy stuff. Reminds me also of the early work of Tim Tyler. Indeed, yeah, I wouldn't even think of that. That's great. He was the original inker for Vigil. I'm friends with him. No kidding. Wow, what a trip. Yeah, the world seems to be getting smaller and smaller the longer I'm doing this stuff. That is crazy, Leighton. That's awesome, man. So yeah, when I was working on the cover for John, that was my approach. My approach was, how do I make something that is because John had just done a members only stream. If you're not a member of his channel, make sure you become one. He had just done a members only stream where he let me see if I can remember this correct. We had just done Tomb of Dracula, which I had suggested because it was Todd McFarlane's favorite comic. And John, the Tomb of Dracula. Are we back? Let me know if we're back. Yeah, I was already drawing. Let me know if we're back. Sorry, we just had a connection hiccup there. A connection failure. Back. Awesome. So, that was wild. So, yeah, I saw Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and I started drawing characters, Dungeons & Dragons characters and Ninja Turtles for my friend Zach. So he introduced me to that. Then his brother, Eddie, and him introduced me to Grips and the whole, independent scene, and which Ninja Turtles was a part of at that time. And then he got these Marvel Comics pins. I would kill to find the exact pin I had. And he said, we're putting these pins on our baseball caps. I'm the Hulk, because Todd McFarlane's Hulk. He loved and the Hulk is gray now. You got to pick a pin that's your favorite character. And I was like, this Punisher one looks cool. And it was almost like he was giving me wine suggestions. He was like, oh, an excellent choice, sir. An excellent choice. Can I interest you in the Punisher Limited Series by Mike Zeck and inked by John Beatty? Amazing work. That's what it was like. So he gave me the Punisher pen, and Punisher was my character. And so I go to look at Punisher comics. Guys, imagine a kid from Chattanooga, Tennessee, reading the Punisher Limited Series and then reading the Punisher regular run, and then meeting on stream Mike Barron, the guy who wrote the Punisher comics that I was reading, and having Mike Barron sign and send me a copy of one of the comics I was reading as a kid. Mind blown. I'll vouch John is worth it. If you're not the membership type, sub for a month and look at the archive. Incredible analysis and critique of comics from a professional perspective. You learn a lot. Yeah, he is great. John's, I love doing those streams with John when it's on something I know or I can talk about. Dad had comics about World War I planes. I love World War I aviation. Obsessed with it. I have that documentary series I think I've shown on stream, 4 Years of Thunder, which is a great series with old archival black and white footage. Yeah, great stuff. Sorry, let me finish your chat here. Who raised him saw a panel where the pilot said the enemy was on his tail. He said it was obscene and burned all of Dad's comics. No! In the wood stove. No! Oh my gosh. Oh, that's crazy. So yeah, one of the things I was going to try to do when the stream went out, and don't know what caused it, but one of the things I was going to try to do was go into, if I can find it here, where is it? Go in and update my channel member credits, because of all the things that I've done on stream, the thing I forgot to do to get ready for this stream was to get all of the, update the channel members. So I always try to do that before a stream. Let me see here. And I always try to put them on in terms of total time as a member. So the longer you've been here, the further you get to climb up the membership. But a very important new member joined last week, who is the guy I'm talking to, who's one of my brothers. And he's a relation who had a lot of... I've been talking to him about art and his music and things like that. And he said, Shanth, I've got some ideas for things you can do that you should try doing. And man, it's been great. It's been really great talking to him and doing all of the stuff that we're doing. So let me see here if I can throw this together. So I'm going to turn off this screen for a second, and I'm going to catch up with the chat for a second so I can... Actually, you know what? I don't have to turn it off yet because I need to do a few things before I can fix the credits. But yeah, I mean, Russ Heath, of course. Yeah. Whoop, cancel. No, I'm not trying to ban somebody. I'm trying to make them put them on the screen. It's like, cancel, not cancel, what's it called? It said cancel banning this person. So I'm not trying to ban somebody, so I had to hit cancel on banning. Russ Heath's Balloon Buster is also top. Absolutely right, Chad. And let me get up to this one by Comic Books and Cahoots. I took a date to the old TMNT movie. Love it. In the 8th grade. Oh, that's awesome. There was a teaser for Captain America movie with Darren McGavin in it that ended up coming out on home video. I remember the Comic Scene magazine that had the photos from the Captain America movie that was it Roger Corman who did that? Well, anyway, I'm wondering if anyone who has gone on to become a comic book artist started from zero talent. The ones I've known personally had talent before they actively knew they wanted to make comics. That's a really interesting thing to ponder. Let me think on that, because I do have thoughts on that, but I want to make sure I get these channel members' credits together. I can walk and chew gum, actually. So here's what I would say about it. And I heard Brian Stelfreeze say this, and he's one of my mentors, so it obviously left quite an impact on me. I think that I could not stop drawing when I was a kid. But there were so many kids that I saw in the classroom who had natural talent as artists, and I was always like, oh man, I wish I could draw like that kid. That's who I was when I was in school. I was people noticed my drawing because I did it so much, but not because it was great at the start. There were kids in my elementary school class who would never do anything with art who would bring in drawings, and I'd go, that's incredible. Like, how do you do that? Oh, I wish I could draw better. And then I would meet kids who had parents who were artists and, like had talent and that, and they were so good. But I was just very disciplined about what I wanted to do. And over time, people just stopped pursuing these things, or they just weren't creating characters or trying to figure out all these various things. But there's lots of ways to be an artist. But I think, yeah, I had a natural interest in it, and maybe I was talented. I can't imagine that. Like, in terms of, it's hard for me to think of anything I was doing in comparison to other people in the positive when I think back to when I was really young in elementary school. But I think people said, wow, this kid draws a lot. And I remember they brought me there. But I just had to draw. I never thought I would do anything with it as a kid because I'd never seen anybody do artwork for a living. So what was I going to do with it? I didn't think I was going to art college. And the idea of going to college stressed me out in general. Like, I was like, I don't know, like, what am I going to do there? It's just going to be more school. And it's wild. Like, I always say this, as I say frequently, this is not my plan. It's somebody else's plan. I'm along for the ride. Every time I go and update the channel member credits, by the way, guys, it puts a tear in me eye. Seeing you guys and your support is just incredible, man. I appreciate you guys so much for being here on a Sunday and for backing these books and supporting everything that we're doing here in Comicsgate. It is awesome and frequently overwhelming. And like I said, I'm going to make the best books I can possibly make for you guys. And I want you guys to be able to say, was there then when all this stuff was happening? Like, we were the folks in the chat he's talking to on this stream. And this is when Springball happened, and this is when Nosfero happened, and this is when CYBERFROG happened, and that's the stuff that I look back on and have a totally different perspective on now as a creator. But I knew it back then when I was doing this stuff, that these were great times, and I was going to be, I wasn't going to regret them. Like, I was like, these are the best times I'm having, and it was cool. All right, so let me go here. Let me see what we've got happening in the chat here while I'm multitasking here. There we go. Yes. The work print. Oh, yes. The Albert, let me see here. The Albert Pion cut of Captain America that surfaced is not long ago is good. Awesome. I thought the suit was great. Yeah. And so hopefully that answered the question in terms of it. When I looked around, everything I saw art-wise, any other kid was doing in the classroom, I thought was better. So it certainly wasn't, for me anyway, I certainly didn't have an ego about my work yet. Natural talent often makes it difficult to develop technique without intense frustration. Yeah, I was so, let me hide this so I can do my my channel member credits here. I was so off the rails with my work in terms of not knowing how to like, I just needed to draw. I didn't know how to draw, and so I kind of just approached everything with that attitude. I went, I'm going to try to figure out how to draw, how to put this stuff together, and I'm going to make something that is, that I need to do this. I don't care if anybody reads it. I need to do this. I was making movies in my camcorder, and things like that, and like editing in the camera, trying to make movies and special effects stuff. Like, that's the kind of kid I was. And comics is something that's really strange. Those of us who do it, I'm always kind of shocked that people would want to do it because it's such insane work. It's so much work to put together a comic book. And at the same time, like, you have to be sort of similarly crazy to the other people who do it. But I just had no choice. I needed to make comics. And I sent off my first submissions package, I think, to DC or Marvel when I was 11 or 12. I got my first rejection letters. One was a form and one was a very lovely handwritten note, like, you're a child, there are child labor laws, we can't hire you, you're 12 or 13 or 14 or whatever it was, but keep drawing, keep practicing, your stuff has promise. I wish I knew who that person was, by the way. That would be great. That's a part of my story I don't know, because I don't have that letter anymore. But man, it was just that idea of someone writing you a handwritten letter from New York City. So I called information by dialing, I think it was 555-1212 at that time. But I dialed the New York area code, called information, then asked the lady on information. I must have sounded like a dang chipmunk. I was probably like 5, I feel like I had the voice of a 5-year-old. And I asked for the address of DC and Marvel Comics because I wasn't smart enough. No, I asked for the phone number. Then they told me it's written in every comic book when I called them. That's how smart I was, folks. That's what a genius I was. Oh, heartbreaking. Bless those people, those kind people, for all of their help. But yeah, I got to always make sure I update these credits and for you guys. Let me see here. Okay, almost there. Sorry for the delay here, but it's got to be what it's got to be. Let's see here. Now I've got the Gummy Bears theme song stuck in my head. Thank you, John. And I do mean thank you, though, because I do love it. Silly man. It's crazy. I think I was going to bed at 7 in the morning one morning, and he had just started streaming, and he was playing that song, and it was in my head. I almost went on stream. I was that close to going on stream, but then I was unbelievably exhausted. But I probably should have tried to force myself to go on there. All right, so now I can bring this back. There we go. So you guys can see the process. Excuse me. See the process stuff again. You guys know this page. Where's the page I was working on? So this one I'm going to close because it's a massive file. This one I'm going to close because I'm not working on it at the moment. This one I may keep there. This one I'm going to close because I'm not working on this one at the moment. Where is the... Do I have... Okay, good. I closed that because it eats up a lot of memory. So let me check in with you guys here in the chat and see if this works. Where are we? Where are all my apps? There we go. Yes, natural talent often makes this good. Sequential art is uniquely satisfying in its ability to do storytelling. It absolutely is. It absolutely is. And those comics were just transported me. You know, I was reading comics about places that I had never visited or I couldn't remember visiting. You know, maybe I was like 1 or 2, and maybe we went to New York at some point when I was really little. But all this stuff, it was like the movies. It was happening in these other places. And you'd go to the comic shop and you'd learn things about, like, oh my gosh. I don't know if you guys have ever had this experience or remember doing this when you went to a comic shop. But I remember when I went to a comic shop, and like the second or third time I went to a comic shop, the lovely comic shop owner, Wade, came over to me and he goes, so listen, we're going to have a conversation about how you hold comic books and flip through them if you want to read them. Because when you flip through a comic book you're thinking of buying on the rack, you're destroying it. For all I know, I might have been folding it backwards. I don't think I was, but I know I wasn't holding the spine or doing any of that stuff. And he just goes, so let me show you. So when you're holding comics, and all of us, and I remember thinking, oh, he's giving me some useful advice. And then like it was a way homer. On the way home, I went, oh my God, he was trying to tell me I've been destroying comics every time I go in the store that he's trying to sell. Oh my God. Oh, horrendous. He was such a great guy, man. When I did that comic I showed you, I did when I was a teenager, he actually had me, had a store signing for me in the comic shop. And this guy who had just gotten a job at, I don't know the comic book company's name. I think he was doing some stuff for Marvel. He did one book for Marvel. And he did, I forget the company, but there was this comic book in the early 90s called Protectors. It might have been for Malibu or somebody like that. I'm not sure who it was, or Eclipse. But he did a comic book for, you're smudging the pages, boy. It was absolutely that, Timmy Mello. Oh my gosh. You look back on those moments and you laugh. Like in the sense, laugh for the gallows. It was, oh my gosh. Bless him. But that's the thing about comics that was so cool, and why I get so defensive of or why I feel defensive or protective of comics. Because when I hear people talking about these stories and they go, comics have never been inclusive, comics have always been a place for this group or that group. Let me tell you something. Okay? I was growing up in... it would have started probably in the late 80s, early 90s. I was going into comic book shops. And every different kind of person collected comics and were in comic shops during that time. And I can certainly tell you, at no time in the history of comic books where I was alive were we ever discouraging girls to come in to the comic book space. It was quite the opposite. Girls were discouraging comic book people from coming into their space. It was not a cool thing to do. When I hear these stories, I always laugh at how comics are sort of misrepresented, and I go, no, it wasn't that way at all. Comics has always been the cool place where if you liked comics, you didn't have to know anything about a person. If you knew they liked comics, the conversation was on. And it's been that way forever. And it does make me laugh, that revisionist history about comics and how comic book folk are, which is, it's all nuts. It's absolutely crazy. All right, let me make sure I get this right, because I got to do me channel member credits right, man. So yeah, like those guys, man, Wade was terrific to me, man. He was terrific to me when I was a wee lad. Oh my God. Hopefully you guys aren't hearing that. All this crazy feedback audio. And bring that to there. Making the credits every show is something I really try to make sure I get right. And I hate when I forget to do it, because you guys who support the channel and back the channel and are channel members deserve to see your name in lights for all you do. So I think I got it. Hopefully that works. We make sure the new name is on there. It is. Very cool. So now all I got to do is share this file. Fingers crossed. Let's all hope. And I should be good to GO once this is done. Fingers crossed. It looks like it's doing something. And hopefully the stream isn't going to hell. And I'm sorry I'm putting all of you guys through this. It's nice of him not to call you Baby Huey. Yeah, no kidding. When he watched you destroy... Oh my gosh, yes. The value of his merchandise. And here's the other thing, right? Imagine a kid who's coming into the comic shop, knows nothing about collecting comics, knows nothing about the different comic book series. And I wanted Punisher Limited Series number 2. And here's how I said it at that time, because video games were very big at the time and everybody had their Nintendo or their Atari, all of that kind of stuff. And yeah, you know it's true what we were like back then, Leighton. It was absolutely not what people pretend it was. And I walk up to the counter and I'm like, excuse me, sir? South, right? I'm like, excuse me, sir? I go, I'm looking for this Punisher comic that has really cool graphics on the cover. That's how I would talk about art. I would go, it has really cool graphics. And he's like, can you give me more than that? And I couldn't even think about it. Like, I couldn't tell you how it was created. I didn't paint or know anything really about paint. I mean, I knew painting was this thing that these other people did, but I drew with a pen or whatever. And I go, it's this Punisher comic with really cool graphics. And he's like, what's happening on the cover? And finally I got to the point where I guess he was able to put it together. I go, he's holding an Uzi. And again, he's like, that's every Punisher comic. And finally he realized I was talking about the Punisher Limited Series. And so I was able to buy, I think he knew who he was selling to, a beat up spined, not direct market even. It was like, it had the UPC symbol on it. Punisher Limited Series number 2 from Wade. And that was the first comic I ever bought in a comic book shop. And it was the best. And that was the cool thing for me is going into that space. Like, I remember things like the first computer illustrated comic book, Iron Man Crash. Do you guys remember that book? And we were like, this is cool. This is edgy. I mean, it is funny stuff to think about, to be sure, man. And that's how, for me anyway, that's how the comic book journey sort of happened for me as an artist. It was just a lot of very cool people being, supportive and taking an interest in me when I was coming into that space. So guys, stick a fork in me. I am done. I think I hit 2 hours and I'm not making any coherent sense anymore. But so you guys know who have gotten a sneak peek at all of this stuff, Springball is well underway. Nosfero is still being held up at the printer because I need a really good proof of it to be confident. But this is the crazy story that we're doing, and these are all the new, exciting, insane things that are going to be happening in Springball. Yeah, the quarter boxes were the greatest thing ever. They sure were, Leighton. And almost as good as channel members. Thank you, Christopher Bouchard. I appreciate it, brother. All right, guys, from the heart of Lovecraft country and the birthplace of American religious liberty, my name is Shanthan Jetty. You've been watching Shanthan Jetty Art. Speak easy, stay gold, keep the faith, and peace be with you guys. Give nihilism no quarter. Have a wonderful Sunday. Go back some Comicsgate books. I'm sure somebody's streaming, and go check it out. But I appreciate all of you guys. Comic Books in Cahoots, thank you so much. Chris, thank you for being here. Appreciate you. Thank you, Leighton. And thank you guys for being channel members, by the way, as well. Let's see who else we've got here. Chad, great having you on stream. Thank you so much for being here. Channel member Timmy Mello, OG, the man, and my artist brother. Thank you for being here. Welcome to Modhood, Art Haida. Thank you for being here. Let's see who else we've got here in the chat. Bootlegger Comics, thank you for being here. And very good question. I appreciate that, man. Let's see who else. Stephen Rockwood, thank you for being here. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find you here. Grey Wolf Graphics, thank you for being here, man. I appreciate it. World War I Aviation. Isn't that crazy? Nick Clark Art, thank you for being here. Glad to have you with us, man, for this Sunday stream. Let's see who else I've got here. Skeleton Core Comics, thank you for being a channel member. Thank you for being here as always on this fine Sunday. And let me see if I'm missing anybody else. Who else have I got? Of course, Mark's Music Obsession. Hope you're having a wonderful day in Florida and everything's going well there. Thank you, A Serious Man, for being here. Agreed with you on Hitchcock and The Man Who Knew Too Much. Glass Machine, thank you for being here. I absolutely cannot wait to get Springball. And there he is, Stephen Rockwood Drawing. Thank you for being here on stream. And thank you for being the first channel member. And Tank Ferret Presents, thank you for being here. Mikey's Madness. All of you fine people who've been here on stream. Have a great week, all of you. And I'll probably see you guys on Kings or one of the other streams. Thank you, Timmy Mello. You guys are the best. I will see you guys very, very soon. And here are the channel member credits for those of you guys who've been waiting and are channel members. Take care, guys. Bye.